Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel. And since that freedom comment by Jadon Sancho on Marcus Rashford's social media, 400 minutes played for Chelsea, 0 goals, 0 assists. Does he need more freedom? And that could possibly end up at Borussia Dortmund. There's a report from Bild is stating on an eagerness to move back there. We're going to discuss it in today's video. Have your say, get involved, because we will discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. Just as we're coming on live, Conrad, welcome to our members club, much appreciated, and everyone joining us. First thoughts on Jadon Sancho and this news, not just even today, over the past 24, 36 hours with Chelsea, possibly coming back to Manchester United. I mean, where do we stand there?
Listen, no player more than Jadon Sancho makes my blood boil. So if you're a Jadon Sancho fan, maybe you turn off now or get something in the comments and tell me what's good about him.
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments. Now, I look at United with Jadon Sancho. They came in, people who are running the club. Yes, we've been talking bad, that they've made bad moves and all that, but some of the moves have been good. I have to turn around and say that this is one of the good moves, what they did straight away with Jadon Sancho. I never expected Manchester United to find some mug football club to take Jadon Sancho. I couldn't care less, me, if it was for 3 days, 3 months, but they got rid of him and they got a good deal, get him out of there, and then next thing you know, it's all now. He might not be staying there. He might be going to Dortmund. But what a deal they did. This player, in my opinion, has been an utter disaster. And the people what brought him to the club should be ashamed. But I tell you what, I will go in a meltdown if he ends up back here in the summer. He cannot come here.
I think a lot of people already are agreeing with that fact in their own words as well. And, you know, Red Olsen says it's possibly the worst signing in United's history. Well, there's a few. We've got to be honest with ourselves. If we sat here, you know, for a good half an hour and counted up how many, but he's definitely up there. I do agree with that. And
it's in the top 10.
Yeah, and we stated a long time ago about Jadon Sancho that we didn't actually think he was up to Premier League level. And is that also now ringing true, do you think? A lot of people out there have mentioned that as well. When he's played for Manchester United, not done it here. He's at Chelsea, not lit anything up there either.
I've always said that Jadon Sancho isn't a Premier League player. He just can't do it. He doesn't want to do it. Listen, there's no commitment. He doesn't contribute anything in a game at over 90 minutes. Yeah. He dances about. He looks good. He looks fit. But what does he do? He does the bare minimum. That's how I've seen it. And I have called it out for a long time on Jadon Sancho and maybe, well, lately, 1 or 2 other players. But Jadon Sancho, he's not even a disappointment to me. He's not. He's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment as a footballer. And I look and I say to myself, I know me football. I think I know me football. We all do. We all watch it and that. And then I said to myself, what idiot thinks Jadon Sancho can come from Manchester United and turn it on at Chelsea? There was nothing there for your eye test to tell you Jadon Sancho will be a good player. I just could not believe it. I was over the moon that Chelsea took him. There's nothing there on the eye test. The man doesn't care. And I mean, as a man, he doesn't care. He got the contract under false pretenses and probably some backhanders. That's how I see it, because something really went on there to get Jadon Sancho, and for a player not to understand what he was going through at Dortmund and what he'd gone through at City, and then to sign him. No, something fundamentally wrong with him right the way through. He doesn't care. He got the contract. And then he's just basically, as far as I'm concerned, down tools. And what has he done at Chelsea?
I think he had, was it the first 2-3 games with Chelsea, 2 or 3 assists. But since then, I've not seen anything. I don't watch Chelsea regular, I've got to be honest with you. You know, if you are a Chelsea fan, get your comments in and what you've actually seen with your own eyes since he's been at Chelsea. But like you mentioned earlier, he seems to have that attitude as though he's just there picking up the wage. And when things might get tough, he might need to battle for his place, his competition, he just folds.
Well, I stuck it out on Jadon Sancho with my opinion. And lots of people over time were coming at me. But nah, you weren't dissuading me, no matter what your comments were, and trying to make me look a fool and all that. I just seen this player and I just thought, he's not good enough for the Premier League. And I don't even think he's a top footballer. I haven't seen anything. Now, back in Germany when he was there, yeah, he was half decent. But then it's the German league and it's a different type of football and that. I'm not knocking him for some of his performances over there. But a top-class footballer on them wages. Nah, for me, I was having meltdown. And even talking now, my blood is boiling. Because I just look at him and I think to myself, the way the world is, the way people are and everything else like that, he doesn't care. He's taking the, as they say, out of us all, picking up them wages. As a human being, you put the effort in, but he doesn't care. He's got no shame. But I'm not just saying it now. I've been saying this for a long, long time about him. But, you know, fair play to United. Got rid of him. Fantastic deal.
I mean, let's face it, it is the international break. You will get certain stories like this, especially over the last 24, 36 hours, like we mentioned, about, you know, possibilities that Chelsea don't want to go through with the deal, maybe pay out the £5 million compensation to United to send him back. But, you know, fingers crossed that, you know, Chelsea are stupid enough to actually get that deal over the line in the summer. You know, any of yous out there actually worried that it won't go through and the £5 million compensation be paid?
I'm worried it won't go through. I look at, like you say, over the last 36 hours, the stories what have come out. The stories what have come out have, like, contradicted each other as time goes on. You know, United have messed up the loan deal. That's the first thing.
That's the headline, isn't it?
That's the headline. United have messed up the loan deal as though they're idiots. But they weren't idiots. They got him off the books for a year. So that was the first thing. And then Chelsea don't want him, and United are forced to take him back. These are the headlines over 36 hours what I've been reading. So I have been wound up a little bit. And then next thing you know, it all changes. The Chelsea transfer is going ahead. So these are the stories what have been out there, what people have been pumping out all over. We've just sat on our hands, you know what I mean, waiting. And then now, all of a sudden, he's going to Dortmund. Well, he can go to Dortmund. Quicker the better as far as I'm concerned. Will United get any money out of him? But that's another story. I think they're going to be difficult to get any money out of Dortmund when you look at what went on last time with the loan deal.
Don't get me wrong. I know there's a few of you out there who are actually based in Germany who comment on our channel regular. But I wonder what the feeling is amongst fans over there of the prospect of Jadon Sancho going back there for a third time. I don't think they'll be welcoming him with open arms, do you?
Well, I'd just ask the German lads what are over there, what watch us and that, and everyone else, to be honest with you. Where's the value for money? United want money, and good money, for someone who's done nothing for 3 years.
Yeah, I think Manchester United are contributing a small amount to Sancho's current wage at Chelsea, with them paying the majority of it. But if he does end up coming back to Manchester United and then he goes to Dortmund, I mean, we're going to be covering a large amount of that salary, you know, if they ship him out on loan again for a season. And that's not where Manchester United want to be currently with their own financial issues.
Well, Dortmund played it smart last time he went over there on loan, do you know what I mean, with his wages, talking about a transfer. But we all knew we was all being mugged off about the talk about a transfer. And maybe we was mugged off with this about Chelsea doing a transfer and that. But it's the wages again. He's laughing. He doesn't care. He's going back to where he feels at home. He belongs and all that. You know, everyone can, like, tuck him up in bed, you know, keep an eye on him, you know, and just talk, oh, Jadon, you're a good lad. But don't worry about the football. We know that you're good. He's absolute rubbish in the Premier League because he doesn't want to do it. All I see of him as a footballer, and this isn't just at United, this is at Chelsea, the bits what I've seen, he sort of jumps about as though he's ready to close someone down, the commitment, as though, like, yeah, I'm committed here, but doesn't go near anyone. And then he sort of runs into space and, like, I'm going to try and block out this cross. It's the bare minimum he does. He doesn't get involved, and he wants to tinker about on the edge and try and do a run here or a little run there. I've seen it at United, and his lifestyle and everything and what he was doing and how he got pushed out and went to Holland for personal training and all that. The man, he's just been a complete and utter disaster. But United they're really the ones who should take responsibility about bringing him here to the Premier League, because they certainly didn't do the due diligence. And like I say before, was there some okey pokey going on, as they say, behind the scenes?
What's got a okey poker?
Okey pokey, the old brown envelope. There you go, sir. Here we go. I think there's always things like that going on, especially where there's big money. And people shouldn't be surprised. And if you look at United, how can you be surprised with some of the mad deals what have gone on with some of these people arranging deals and paying way, way over? And you have to say to yourself, where's the investigation with it all? Because it doesn't make sense. It's like they had the freedom to go out there and just waste all the money, and there's no oversight. And with Jadon Sancho, there has certainly been no oversight.
Well, let's hope there's no investigation on our YouTube channel with your comments of okey pokey. But that's for another matter. Diving into the comments, UTFR says, he's on 300 grand a week. What's it all about? Cancel his contract and get rid. Cut our losses. And like you mentioned, it's just another bad example of business done in terms of recruitment. High contracts given to players who are just not worth it, just for average players, really.
I personally, but I don't think we're in that position, going off the comment there, is pay up his contract, just get him out, because it's only going to be bad news. Kieron started there with one of his comments about freedom. We've seen all of his comments. He loves Dortmund and that he regards that as home. You just do not. None of us want Jadon Sancho here, because the way the club's going with Ruben Amorim, and I think Ruben Amorim, it's the last thing he needs, to be honest with you. He's going to try and get a football team, get players in who want to play for Manchester United. He does not need the Jadon Sancho saga and all the waffle what goes with it. So I would, if I had the money, if United had the money, but I don't believe they've got the money to turn around to a player who's on that much money and say, right, we're paying up your contract, off you go.
If it doesn't go through with Chelsea, I only really see a possibly realistic route, and that's to Saudi. When you look at in his wages, etc., he's clearly, for me, I've said it for months and months, even a couple of years with yourself, that he's not good enough for the Premier League. Going back to Dortmund, I don't really think there's any really truth in it. I've got to be honest. You might think differently out there based on that report from Bild, but I don't think he'd be welcome back there. And you're then looking about across Europe, what teams really want to have him pay some of his wages? United want to just cut all the losses, like all the fans do. And, the only possible really realistic route, like I say, is Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but
would Jadon Sancho be up for that? We'll get all the freedom he wants out of there to perform at whatever level he likes. Do you know what I mean? I'm
not being funny here, but it's hard enough getting Jadon Sancho out of bed. We've heard the stories and that. There is no way he doesn't commit himself on the football field. He's not going to commit and change his whole life and his lifestyle and move to Saudi. Doesn't need it. What are they going to give him? £300,000 for a player what doesn't even perform, and he's not even committed to helping out his teammates. No, Saudi for me, that's not on the cards. I think it's just another loan move, and I actually don't think Dortmund would be daft enough to take him back. I just don't think. I think when you look at Dortmund, they've moved on. They're changing things and that. They played some decent football. I don't think they need a Jadon Sancho back there, and especially when they've seen that he's had all this time at Chelsea and absolutely done nothing.
Yeah, moving off on Jadon Sancho. Back to the Manchester United squad. Injury news as well, which is coming out from the Manchester Evening News on Mainoo, Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro. Mainoo has been out for 2 months with a muscle injury, but could feature if he comes through training this week for the actual Nottingham Forest away game. Aiden Heaven as well, good news. Picked up an injury against Leicester and was seen in a protective boot, but he's now out of it and he could return to training. Also, moving on to Lenny Yoro, he's missed the recent games against Leicester, Real Sociedad, due to a foot injury, but he's being monitored for a return. So 3 of them players there, young lads who look like they could be close to return to action.
Yeah, Mainoo looks as though he's going to be on the training. Maybe a little bit early to be in the reckoning for the Nottingham Forest squad. Heaven there, absolutely delighted that he's feeling better and it's not as serious. So he's still a little bit away from turning up for Manchester United. And then I look at Lenny Yoro. You know, I think there's a lot of concern. I've read lots of comments, seen things out there about Lenny Yoro, and people are sort of saying he's brittle. You know, he keeps having little injuries and that. So something to work on here, and I don't think really they should rush back with Lenny Yoro, because I think there is a question mark over his fragile state, his foot. He's picking up these injuries and that. So I think a nice little long rest for Lenny Yoro might be the best thing for him. But 3 players there, I think, are there in the future if they all prove the fitness going into next season. I think the future looks good for them 3 players.
CRG, just to finish on Sancho. If Sancho comes back, it'll be criminal. UTFR have a little bit of a stats and info. Dortmund are currently 11th in the league. Doubt they can afford 100 grand a week, and that's putting it into perspective. Nice one for that, mate. But going back onto the actual team, we've got the likes of Dorgu, who returns after suspension. Mason Mount as well. Did he make the actual bench against Leicester, or am I imagining things? So will he start getting a bit of a run now in the next 4 to 5 games that we've got in the Premier League and Europa League?
Well, I think having this break, he would have been out on the training pitch, having special time on there, and you would expect him to be out there. Just himself, never mind if there was no training or anything. You'd expect him to carry on doing the training and upping his fitness and that. You might see him come on against Forest, because it's going to be a hard working game, that, and people will be rested. And you know, you look at the bench, it's not a strong bench, but good news for him, because I think he's a good player, and Ruben Amorim, towards the end of the season, got plenty of time to work on him and see if he fits into his system going forward to next year. Fingers crossed for him. Injuries. I personally, my personal thing is, I think his injury record is just going to be a problem going forward, and I think we'll see him break down again, because I just think one thing leads to another, to another with him. I think it's just the way it is.
Not too sure if anyone out there can speak the language of emojis, but Ahmed posted an actual picture on his social media account, I think it was Snapchat, alongside a sand timer and a smiley face emoji, which people out there are considering that it means good news, and he'll be back a lot sooner than we all thought, which would have been the end of the season. So
yeah, just not the normal reporting about a player feeling fit and everything else like that. Looking forward to it, smiling emoji on some platform and that. But hey, he's a footballer. They all promote their social media platforms, and I think that was just part of it. I don't see him back yet. I'll just wait for till he's on that grass and training proper. But hey, he got it out there. People reacted to it. Some do, some don't.
I hope he comes back soon, though.
Oh,
I really do.
Listen, I hope he comes back. You know, we'll need him. Like I say, we've got 5 hard games now. 5 hard games. Will he have... Well, will he be available? He might come back at the end of it. And if you look at who's at the end of it, it's Lyon. It's the quarter-final of the Europa League. So we want as many players back. So I'm touching wood and hoping Ahmad gets back, and he might be an influence in getting that semi-final spot.
Yeah. Anything more to add?
No, I'm just can't wait for next Tuesday, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what I am waiting for. You know, this has come out with Jadon Sancho. I did pick up a little bit of news. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. There's a young kid there waiting who's better than Rashford at Aston Villa. So for me, the doubters are already throwing out the bad vibes about Rashford. So, you know, Rashford's got it all to do. We want him off the books. He doesn't want to be here. I think we might struggle with this Rashford. My belief, okay, is I think he'll just come back to United. I honestly do. I think there's a lot of things going against Rashford. He's been out there in the public for a long time now. His performances as well, I think, sort of went down to the level of Jadon Sancho. He did well at United, and the last few years, nah, not happy with him at all. And I think Villa are looking at it and thinking, nah, we ain't taking this man. But that's my opinion. Like I say, the story's out there, and I think they're going to creep up now, especially towards this international break.
I've got a little bit of confidence. Don't get me wrong, a lot of what they've done in Ineos since they've come in, certain people who've took certain roles. I've not been in full agreement with everything that they've done, but in terms of getting business done, players off the books and that, even though the likes of Jadon Sancho were a little bit worried that he might come back from Chelsea, Marcus Rashford as well, I do think they'll actually get deals done where they won't be actually at the club next season. Whether that's loan deals, it's probably possible, but I don't think they'll be in a Manchester United squad next season. I've got a bit of confidence with that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the transfers and all that. To be honest with you, it's not the right time for it, but there's loads and loads of stories out there. It's what happens, swap deals for this player and everything else like that going on. Højlund going somewhere, Osimhen coming, swap deal. Then it changes. We're going to buy Osimhen. Next thing you know, United have got 10 targets. Next thing you know, Amarin's disappointed. His 2 targets, what he wants, he isn't going to get in the summer. Well, I don't know whose 2 targets are. They're not confirmed. It's all speculation. But this is the time of year for it. And it's all out there. If you want to believe it, I think they'll be looking for players. I think they'll be talking to players. But I actually, personally, I don't know. And I can't confirm any stories about swap deals or anything like that. To me, it's just stories again.
Yeah, you just like to hope.
Yeah, you hope.
Right now, even going back to January, they were out there and actually speaking to players' agents about potential moves in the summer, and actually speaking to agents of players in the current squad as well, basically saying that they're not needed going forward. So they should be then themselves and their agents looking for moves and already trying to speak to clubs out there. But I am confident we'll see a large proportion of players shipped out this summer and players actually brought in, because he definitely needs the backing, Ruben Amorim. I've even seen little positive signs just off 2 players we signed in January, in Dorgu and Heaven, who look really good young players for me, look hungry, look ready to actually fight for the shirt and actually know how to play the positions, most importantly, in this system. And even if we go and buy young lads in the summer, of the ages of 21, 22, I can get behind that, especially if they're the same profile of them 2 players who look like they're willing to put the graft in on the pitch. I can get behind that all day long,
I've got to believe that, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his team, with Amorim and his coaches and all that, are planning for the summer, and that they have targeted players in January, talking to people, looking for the summer to bring players in. And what gives me a bit of confidence that they're on it and they know what they're doing in that side of it, targeting players, is in the summer when they brought in the players, they brought them in quickly, a couple of them. Yes, Ugarte, that took a long while over the summer, but that wasn't Ugarte's fault. It was Paris Saint-Germain. They were just waiting to bring somebody in. So they did have a plan in the summer to bring players in, and they acted quickly. And that's what I want to see. When you talk about transfers, that's what you want to see. Planning, target them, and go and get them straight away. And Ruben Amorim needs anybody what's coming in straight away, so he can work with them. The longer, the better, right through the summer. That's what we want to see. Quick action, lift the mood, lift the optimism going forward into the new season. And that's what it's all about. Target the players, go and get them early, but you better have a plan. And I do believe they've got a plan. But as we know, plans do go awry. Yeah,
plans do change sometimes. And we've seen a couple of plans that were started in the summer, Dan Ashworth, Erik ten Hag, and they were soon ripped up. But, let's stay positive and let's hope that they do get the right players in the summertime. But I've got a bit of confidence around that about transfers coming in. And like I say, if they're the young kids who they're bringing in, I can get behind that, considering what we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years, bringing in more established stars who are then just sat here picking up a wage, and you have no real connection with him. Some of the players they've brought in over 10 years, you have a dislike for him after just the season, because they just sat there picking up the wage and just taking the piss out of the fans. And yeah,
but this is different now. I did say at the start of the video, Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they've made lots of missteps and all that, but I'm confident, and this is the side of them, what I'm confident about in their actions and how they perform when they're looking at players. And I don't mean just looking at players, the targets to bring in or anything like that, looking at the players to move out. And I think that they've got a long list of players what are moving out. Some contracts are finishing, we know that, but there's other players to move on. And I think I don't think we should worry about bringing players in. That's what I'm confident about Ineos and all the management here. That side of it, I'm happy with. And as we all know, There's lots of other sides of it we're not happy with. The penny pinching side. But money now, it's the name of the game in football. It affects every aspect.
Just before we go, I'd just like to thank everyone who joined us on yesterday's video on the first episode of the Man United Fan Culture series with my dad, Tony O'Neill. Great response in there, some great feedback with your own memories as well of following Manchester United and other clubs, I might add, around the actual 70s. So much appreciated for everyone joining us on that. We will look to put out episode 2 a week on Monday. So keep a look on the channel, keep an eye out, get that notification on, and that episode will be out, like I say, in a week on Monday. So thanks to everyone for joining us today, getting involved as usual. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, as you know it's much appreciated, and we'll be back tomorrow.